Right, the solution to this mess is the Osmo Action 4 Mark II. Mic drop. I'm not going to drop that because that'll probably go through my desk. Right, DJI, what are you playing at? You had the Osmo Action 1. You had the 2, ignore the 2. You had the 3. You had the 4. Why did you not improve on the 4 ever so slightly? Why did you go off on this tangent with the 5, which has now led on to the 6? The image quality of the 6 isn't as good as the 5, and the 5 wasn't as good as the 4. That is why I am willing to forget the past if you come up with the 4 Mark II. Now hear me out. What I'm thinking is Osmo Pocket 3, the sensor from that, lift it straight out and smack it straight in the body of the 4. Keep all the gubbins, all the post-processing, everything exactly as it is. Don't change anything. We want them blacks to be black, okay? We don't even care about internal storage. No one cares about that. I want memory cards, so I want to choose how much storage I have. I want to change out memory cards without having to dump everything on a computer or a laptop, okay? If I go on holiday, I'd rather have a little bag, a packet full of memory cards than have to take a laptop with me. Right, so obviously a bigger sensor, you're going to need to get further away from the lens. Just build the macro lens into it. Build it in. Make it part of the camera. Make it changeable if need be. But listen, have some sort of indicator on screen so we know if we are on portrait, talking head mode or landscape mode. Infinity focus on landscape mode, tighter focus on talking head, maybe a third for macro, who cares? I mean, who's asking for macro? I don't know. I don't know if it's something that's easy to research and develop. Maybe that makes sense to you guys, I don't know, but stop pursuing low light. This is the era of low light. I don't know who's asking for that. You go watch Bald and Bankrupt, the biggest travel vlogger in the world, I think, probably. He's not filming at night, he's walking around during the day. He's using a Sony X3000. How old is that camera? Granted, it's starting to look dated now, but in the middle of the day, in sunshine, it still wipes the floor with ease, Get back on track. This is the track. The microphones are good and the integration, but honestly, depending on what Insta brings out next, I'd be happy to jump boat. I'd sell up and I'd get an Insta microphone, and the newest one to come out, because you should have carried on here. You should have carried on with this progression, and you diverged and you started pursuing low light at the expense of daytime footage. Right, let's just bear in mind here, the Action 6 is an action camera with manual focus. What is that all about? Doesn't make sense to me. And also, comparison, YouTubers reviewing this gear. Don't compare, I'm seeing screens like that, and you've got the Osmo 5, you've got the Osmo 6, you've got the Nano, and you've got the 360. These two are a different product altogether. They've got a completely different use. They don't need to be compared to them. That wasn't as good as the last camera. Look, let's get rid of that. This is what we should be talking about. We should be like that, and it should be the Action 4 and the Osmo Action 6. That's what, surely that's what people want to see, because that's the camera to beat. You know, it's so strange these days to see the blacks. That was always the thing 10 years ago, you know, when the but the important thing was the blacks were black. It had a big sensor. There was no noise in the dark areas in a shot, and that's why it was so popular. Didn't have any, you know, if they brought out a camera back then that had internal storage, we'd be like, what are you playing at? No one wants internal storage. You know, keep the information there, but if we want to go post-process and we want to turn up the shadows and we want to turn up the contrast, we should have that option. But to be baking it into the standard footage is just ridiculous. And also, you've got the weird stuff with the trees and how they look against the sky. It looks like embossing in Photoshop. When you emboss something, it looks really weird. It's not good. It's not natural. So the reviewers, they're just playing the game. They don't want to say anything negative. They're happy to have these releases every year because it gives them something to make videos about for the next 10 months to a year, comparing all these different cameras. But you know, the Nano, the 360, don't compare them. They're different use cases. No one wants to see that compared to the 5 or 6. And why are we comparing it to the 5 when the 5 wasn't as good as the 4? So, you know, DJI, I'll wait to hear from you. I'm happy to work on it with you, but wrong, right, in my eyes. I'd like to hear what anyone else has to think about this, has to say. Like the video if you agree with me, and the next video I'll talk about the likes and dislikes and whether anyone else agrees with me, and also subscribe so you don't miss out. But the Action 4 Mark II, I want to see it. Let's see if this can get any traction.